What is your name and where do you work?
My name is Alicia Ordez, and I'm a 6th grade reading teacher at Eisenhower Middle School in Apollo Beach.
What leadership position do you hold there?
At Eisenhower Middle School, I'm currently the PLC leader for the 6th grade reading department, and that pretty much stands for Professional Learning Community. So I'm the leader of our community for 6th grade reading.
What were you wanting to bring to that leadership role?
At the beginning of the year, when our principal asked us who wanted to take which roles at our school, I really decided that I wanted this role because I wanted to help our reading department with coming up with new ideas and just sort of being open-minded to new strategies and things that we could do for our students.
What was your plan to model the behavior that you eventually wanted to see in them?
My plan was I would be active in the professional community, which would entail going to conferences and reading professional books and learning new strategies. And my plan was that I would find new strategies and ideas and bring them to my colleagues in hopes that they would try them out and implement them, and then hopefully they would start going out and finding new strategies and bringing them to us also, so that we would have this whole community of sharing and open-mindedness and constant evolving as teachers as far as our strategies go.
How did you inspire the common ground?
With my colleagues in the 6th grade reading department, we had kind of noticed that a lot of the students, although they were learning the skills, they weren't authentically engaged in what they were learning. They were sort of bored, and we were using workbooks from years ago, and it kind of wasn't working. So we had this common goal that we would engage our students more, especially with articles, since we're all reading teachers, articles and current events that meant something to them. So we knew that we had to kind of get better and step it up as far as our engagement went, because a lot of the students were just kind of getting bored.
What challenges did you foresee?
The challenges that I thought I would come across were, I'm a new teacher, I'm a second-year teacher, and I'm working with a lot of teachers that have been teaching for 7, 8, or even 10 years. So I knew that they already were established in their strategies and what they were doing, so I knew that I would be asking them to do extra work, and that would be a challenge because they've been doing the same thing, they had their own ways, so I knew that getting them to try something different and getting them to be open-minded to new ideas might be kind of hard because it would require extra work, experimenting. It might require a little bit of failure, you know, because we would have to try things out, and so I knew that I would face those different challenges with my colleagues.
What did you bring to the table to make them want to try out your ideas?
To make them want to try out my new ideas, I brought a lot of enthusiasm to the table. That was the first thing. We had to get excited again about what we were doing, because especially in teaching you can get kind of overwhelmed and kind of stressed out. So I had to be excited about what I was doing with my students. So that was kind of the initial thing that I brought, was enthusiasm. Another thing that I brought was just new ideas and strategies. So I would tell them about new things I was doing in my classroom, or maybe bring samples of student work or pictures or just kind of ideas. So I brought the new ideas and the enthusiasm, and then a little bit of creativity also. And I just kind of got them excited about trying out new things, pretty much.
And what new idea in particular?
There have been several new things that we've tried out that have been effective, but one that stands out in my mind is a strategy called Socratic seminars. And this was something that I learned about at a professional conference that I attended in Orlando earlier this year. I learned about this new sort of discussion circle, very structured discussion circle, where students read a common text. Usually it's like a current event, it's pretty controversial, it's up for debate. So the students read this article, and then they create their own higher level questions, which is very different because normally teachers create the questions, but they come up and create their own questions to facilitate a discussion. And then they get in like an inner-outer circle pretty much, and they all pose questions and they discuss the article at a very much higher level than they're used to, and then they rate one another on their participation in the discussion, and then at the end give feedback to one another. So it's basically an entire student-led discussion on a current event that kind of has multiple perspectives. And it's very structured, but at the same time, there's a lot of room for them to share their own voice and have their own opinion, as opposed to other things that we had been doing, which kind of had like one right answer, and it was out of a workbook, and it wasn't as interesting or engaging to them. So I learned about this new strategy at the conference, and I decided to bring it back to my school and sort of try it out and then share it with my colleagues.
And how did you share it with them?
After I tried it out in my classroom and saw how engaging it was and saw how purposeful it was for my students, I went to my colleagues and I told them about it, first of all, and then they were kind of a little skeptical at first because they felt like it was going to be a lot of work and they didn't know where to start. So I shared all of my resources with them. Like I shared a PowerPoint that was maybe 10, 12 slides that I used to introduce it to the students. I shared some of the articles that were effective. I shared those with them. I shared the evaluation checklist that I use, and I also shared the feedback form that students use. So really they just had to kind of use the resources that I gave them to start. And that made it a lot easier and less intimidating for them because they weren't having to just start from square one. I shared all my resources with them.
Did that facilitate them coming back to you at all? And you guys collaborating?
It did, because at first they went and they did the new strategy and they used my resources. And then once they saw that it worked and that it was effective, they started going out and finding different articles to use, or they even found new variations, different grouping styles for the same sort of strategy. So when we came back together at our PLC meetings, they would share the new articles and they would share the new variations on the strategy, and we would kind of work together to make it even better and different for students. So that was nice that it wasn't just me. In the end, they were coming back and bringing ideas that we could all benefit from.
And how did you encourage further feedback and work from them?
We're always collaborating, even when we're not at meetings, official meetings that are scheduled. Since I've been the PLC leader, I see a lot more emailing back and forth or talking. We even talk at lunch. I'll just ask, I'll say, hey, how are things going? Tell me about it. And they're very much willing to share and share what went well and what didn't. And we're always emailing back and forth and sharing ideas and resources. And I think just bringing the enthusiasm and the creativity and the excitement about it kind of rubbed off on them. And they sort of are excited now, and they're bringing ideas, and it's just working out well.
Do you have anyone that you viewed as a leader in the past that you would like to talk about that has influenced you?
Yes, actually, when I was a student at USF, my professor named Terry Bigelow, he was my middle school methods professor, and he was also a middle school teacher. And he's actually the one who inspired me to become a middle school teacher. Not only that, but he continues to encourage me to go beyond the classroom level, because it's very easy for me as a teacher to just stay in my room, do my own stuff, and just kind of be a good teacher for my 100 students. But he encourages me to go beyond that and to share with my colleagues, and not even just that, but to attend national conferences so I can share with a larger audience and learn from a larger audience. And he even writes academic articles that he publishes, and he's always keeping up with journals and reading books, and he just encourages me to take on these roles and expect more of myself and kind of push myself to go beyond the four walls of my classroom, which is sometimes easy to just kind of stay, but he continues to push me that way. For example, last year he nominated me for an award that allowed me to attend a conference for the first time, a national conference with thousands of people, and this year I'll actually be even presenting at that conference, which is a totally new leadership role, since I've never presented to teachers at a national conference, and I'm going to Chicago, and so he's just always helping me with those types of opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.